Asmongold and Trash Taste Backlash has broken Hasan Piker. Hasan, the known terrorist of Twitter, of Twitch, of everywhere. This guy has been on the record for a while, and I just want to see what's going on because something has been popping. Now, I have an affiliation with Asmongold. I know, and I'm gonna be real. This Hasan guy is like constantly trying to put him in the worst fucking spotlight all the time, 24/7. Never stop talking about him. And I've been a little bit gone recently, so I don't even know what's going on. But I know that the Trash Taste had Hasan Piker on his podcast recently, and it was very poorly received because Hasan is very much known as a very political right-wing, I think a left-wing political streamer, and he just has a lot of wild takes, and he really does support terrorism and terrorist groups. So a lot of people didn't like to see Hasan coming on Trash Taste, and it's brought a lot of backlash. So I thought we'll take a look at this video from Rev and see what's going on Twitter, because I don't use Twitter anymore. I want to see what is going on.
Hey, what's up, guys? Rev here.
Yo, what up?
So today we're going to be talking briefly about Hasan Piker. Now, I think everyone watching this video is aware of his long history of unhinged takes.
Yeah, I kind of gave you a little bit of thing, but that you don't need the specific, but that's pretty much it.
However, I believe some of this rhetoric has definitely increased over the past week or two because his most valuable currency...
Nah, he isn't a terrorist, but a sympathizer, which is somewhat worse. Yeah, he sympathizes for terrorist groups. I mean, in a way, he's not really causing terrorism. He's not. But he definitely advocates for a lot of terrorism, and he definitely supports a lot of terrorist groups, and tries to make it seem that their actions are not as bad, and making it says like captors, people that have been captive. Oh, look, they just want to stay there. They love it. They want to just be there. Like you were talking about Stockholm syndrome and blah blah. He's not even mentioning Stockholm syndrome, but in many ways, like the people that are being captive just want to get the fuck out. They were forced to say things. But when Hasan is looking at this clip, he's just talking about, damn, look at them. They want to be there. It's really weird.
See, his ego has been threatened by two events, and they're both relevant to the type of topics we talk about on this channel, hence why we're making this video today. Those two events are the Trash Taste podcast situation, as well, in his own words.
If you don't know what Trash Taste is, it's actually one of the most popular Western podcasts regarding anime. It's extremely popular regarding anime. C-Dog is in it. There's a lot of good people in it.
His dethroning as the top political streamer on Twitch by Asmongold. Now, when I say
this guy, by the way, every day is mad. Asmongold, Mr. Gaming MMO guy, decided to jump into politics and took over the #1 spot of politics. And he's so mad about it. He hates it. He hates that Asmongold gets like 3 times the viewers with politics, even more. He just hates it.
Increasingly unhinged takes. I'm more saying the frequency at which he makes these unhinged statements. In fact, during the whole Trash Taste podcast situation from about a week ago, his immediate response was talking about things, including his idea of having a terrorist propaganda tier list live on Twitch, which obviously if he did that, he would face no punishment. In fact, you'd probably get a special cameo, another birthday song from Dan Clancy himself. So what am I talking about? Well, this is the clip.
Absolutely embarrassing, by the way. It is absolutely embarrassing and sad to see how much the views of Hasan is being supported, not banned, or any form of like trying to push away from Twitch's side. Like the fact that Dan Clancy made a happy birthday video to Hasan after everything that's been happening, and the fact that Hasan has never been banned for everything he said is insanely wild. Like, I think Twitch got to really fire like 90% of they got to fire all of their leadership, first of all, but they got to fire a lot of people in the back end as well. It's actually insane what's going on over here. It's really sad to see. And I think that once, it's unfortunate that Amazon has not noticed it yet, because like Twitch is losing a lot of rep. Like you have a pile of gold, like you have a good pile of good points, and Twitch is losing a lot of those good points. They're all going away because of the current leadership. It's just a fiasco.
Making the rounds right now on social media.
It will hurt Twitch long term. It will abandon advertisers and will abandon new people from interested going in. Like at some point, like what will happen? There's a lot of like these, Hasan has never done it, but his moderators that are streamers as well has put a lot of bounties on people. What will happen whenever one of those bounties are fulfilled? If you don't know what a bounty is, I love it. That's very good. But it's not something great to be putting on someone random out there publicly on a live stream. And yeah, once that case, if that ever happens, if some kind of case of a bounty ever is fulfilled, Twitch will probably cease to exist forever. And this keeps on happening, and these people are not getting punished for any of their actions or any of their views. It's really weird. It's really weird. It's just really weird. All of this is really weird, and it doesn't make sense. All of these things doesn't make sense. It is very odd how Twitch is supporting it.
$50 billion estimated that
they are supporting it
year in Medicaid, just in fraud alone. No.
If you cared about Medicare fraud or Medicaid fraud, you would kill Rick Scott.
Wow. I mean, am I like, and he's still live to this day. He's still live. Let me check. Is he live now? Is Hasan live now? He's live right now. He's not banned after saying this. This is recent. He's not banned, so he's still live saying it. I think this is even illegal to say. Like, I think he could be pressed with charges for this. This is crazy.
Okay, you wouldn't make Rick Scott, former governor of Florida, Rick Scott, you wouldn't make him a prominent part of the Republican Party.
There's about...
Yep, that's Hasan directing people to kill a sitting U.S. senator. Normally, that would get you a knock on your door from the FBI at the very least, but I think everyone looking at this objectively would say if you were a regular streamer, you would not only be banned for saying this, you'd probably be permabanned.
You'd be excommunicated. You don't say these things. As an American citizen, you don't say these things. Like that's crazy.
Never come back to this platform. And also what makes this even more hilarious is the fact that not even a year ago, he made a similar...
Oh my God. This was the weapon used to kill the president, the Japanese president.
...threat to another U.S. official with this quote tweet here sharing this image, which for
this guy's
context
wild.
was the weapon that was crafted to assassinate the former prime minister of Japan.
Oh, it was prime minister,
Shinzo
yeah, sorry.
Abe. So he has a history of doing this. And like I said, right now, I want to look at the two events that I think are kind of making him spiral because his ego is being challenged in ways that don't sit well with him. The first one, as I said, is the Trash Taste podcast situation.
Look at that dislike rate. A heavily beloved podcast with the Hasan is not the one of the main guys, but like the three main guys in Trash Taste are very supportive. They're great people. They're great guys. They have good reputation. And look at how the response has been just because they invited Hasan Abi. And this is not, by the way, this is not like some kind of hate wave from a different content creator or something like that. This is the viewers of Trash Taste opinion about inviting this guy here.
For those who didn't watch my video a few days ago about this, he went on as a special guest to this Trash Taste podcast, which is run by the Anime Man, CDawg VA, as well as Giguk, three prominent channels in the anime content creation space. And as you can see, people reacted very, very negatively to this. And as I said, I respect the boys who run this podcast. I think generally they have good intentions with things, but I think they grossly miscalculated how people would respond to his appearance as a special guest.
I think they're usually really busy. I'll be real with you. I think they actually are so busy, they have not even noticed what's going on in the Twitch sphere about this, which is unfortunate because they invited the guest. They should have double checked, and they've known Hasan for a while, and they have invited Hasan for a bit, like before. But like, I think it's not at some point you got to stop working with someone. And this guy has gone too far, and I don't think anybody want to work with him anymore.
On the podcast, they even said they expect.
You need to understand that every single content creator out there that are making these things want to build something up. They would never bring someone in if it would ruin their like image or ruin their like revenue in itself. And if they knew what kind of reception, they thought that it would be a good idea to have him. But they have no idea what's going on, and the reception has been horrible because of that.
Like a few negative comments. I definitely don't think they expected 99% of the comments to be negative in regards to the choice of special guest. And when we covered this about 6 days ago, the like-dislike ratio was pretty much 50-50. It was like 15,000 dislikes, 14,000 or 15,000 likes, 14,000 dislikes. And now it's up to 70,000 dislikes, and it only grew to 22,000 likes. Now, I don't think this is fully a criticism of Trash Taste. I think this is more of a repudiation of Hasan Piker. As I pointed out in the previous video, he's been on the podcast before, but that was about 2 years ago, and I don't think a lot of people were as informed about some of his unhinged beliefs. And now that people are more familiar thanks to a lot of videos calling him out, this is what people think of Hasan in anything he is a part of, and they are making it very well known in the dislike ratio there. And also, overall, that also was the result after he begged his own community to counter what he claimed was a brigade on him and the podcast episode, and that only made things worse, by the way. But clearly his ego was very hurt by this. I think he went outside his own community and saw how badly he was received, and I think it made him very...
I mean, once you make an echo chamber, and it is an echo chamber, your Twitch channel is meant to be an echo chamber in the end of the day. Obviously, that only makes sense. But he finally has it struck a little bit more the nerve of most people outside of his echo chamber. They're realizing they're seeing it because he has popped up a little bit more, and now it's just making it a bigger loss for people to do anything around them.
Upset. Hence why he asked his own audience to go and try to remedy the situation. And we get it, right? Like, everyone who's on the internet and has some level of controversy attached to them, which I would say applies to pretty much everyone we're talking about today at some level. You're going to deal with people who are going to make viral tweets hating on you and things like that. You're not going to be well liked by everyone outside your community.
Of course.
But I think it's a little different when your mere presence on anything will draw a ton of negativity. And that's what's going on with Hasan Piker. And I think it's pretty obvious he's seeing this first and foremost and very clearly with the Trash Taste podcast. And it's just not going over well with him. Now, that's the first event I'm talking about here. I want to get to the second event. And that's, of course, the Rat King himself, Asmongold. In Hasan's own words, he has now overtaken the top spot as political streamer on Twitch. This is a label that Asmon doesn't even care for, and he still considers Hasan the top political streamer because it's not the only thing that Asmongold does. Well, it's still a good portion.
No, that's not what he said, but he says that Hasan has been doing politics for a while. He has a political presence on Twitch. He definitely does. He's one of the most influential political streamers on Twitch because of that. Zach does content broadly. He does gaming, he does this and that, and I've talked to him about it. He used to be the MMO guy, now he's the new release guy. Now he talks about politics. There's always a shift, and he has these shifts. And he agrees, like, it is just how it is. And so he has like more of a reach on different front. And that is kind of a little bit more disappointing and sad for Hasan, I think, because you're seeing Zach over there, Asmongold, able to do gaming, able to do in real life shit, able to do politics and dominate in all those fields. And then he's just taking him by a storm, like 3 times, 4 times, 5 times a more interest and viewership because he has a different view or that talks about things in a different manner when it comes to politics. So he just doesn't like it. Zach thinks that Hasan has a political presence and he's very influential in the space, but he knows that he is #1 politics streamer. And I'm just gonna say right now that in his private Discord, we all see how much Hasan is crying and yapping about it, and it's kind of embarrassing. I will be real with you. It is very embarrassing.
It's not the only thing he does, but yeah, to Hasan, this stuff matters. The numbers matter. The labels matter because it's, you know, attached to his...
But Zach does not really care that much. I'll be real with you. He does not give a fuck. He's just making content. Like, he does not give a fuck. As long as people watch, that's all he care about.
I think that's very obvious.
Does not give a shit about how
this clip right here
good,
is really telling of that. He's going after Asmongold and basically blaming him for a rise of right-wing sentiment permeating throughout the streaming world and honestly throughout the world is really what he's implying in many cases. And he again brings up the numbers and seems very insecure about it. Let's give this a quick listen.
If there wasn't such a high density of hogs that were like literally looking desperately for some kind of hog content on Twitch, which
I like that he starts by calling them hogs, because he's going to undermine them. He's going to call them rednecks or like a fat or something like that. That's why he's using hog as a determination, you know? So he's already beginning the conversation by undermining the people watching it. That's a great starting point, because he's trying to overvalue the people that are watching him, because he's definitely has the right takes, right?
led to a massive amount of people gravitating towards Asmongold, and Asmongold getting like fucking 50K every day doing right-wing commentary. None of these motherfuckers would do this. Okay?
He also does left-wing commentary, but that's not going to handle the narrative as Hasan is making, because it's like me and you. It's a different side of thing, and it's just so weird.
Okay, they just wouldn't.
Okay, so first of all, calling Asmongold right-wing is hilarious. I think most people would view him as a centrist.
He's kind of more of a centrist, and you know what's funny is that Zach was the biggest Bernie. I've heard it from his friends. Zach was the biggest Bernie supporter for the longest time. He has a lot of things. He used to go for a lot of things that Bernie used to say. Like, yeah, I don't think it's funny to think about this, because like he didn't even vote for Trump. He didn't vote for anybody. He's the most centrist you can find. He just like looks at each side and just talks about it, like what he sees about it, which is funny how all this is going on.
He's a guy who is on many different occasions, including recently, said he wanted to vote for Bernie Sanders. So if he's some
he's been a Bernie fan for years, like many years, like before the Switch shit as well.
Pundit, he's not a very good one, let's be honest. But this is the deal here. So he's at first implying that people are only speaking out on certain things and criticizing certain things and sharing certain opinions because Asmongold basically made it okay, and they want to grift, right? They see the numbers he polls and they want to emulate those numbers. It's only about numbers and popularity with whatever they're sharing.
It's a dick measuring competition. That's the reality of it on Twitch. Like, viewership is what's going on. So everybody's measuring who's the longest dick. That's just how it is.
They're being emboldened by Asmongold, and I think that's number one, pretty insidious. It's basically implying that there are a lot of people out there who have these beliefs, but were afraid to say them because, well, let's face it, the last half a decade or so, cancel culture has been a real thing. If you had wrong think or you criticize the wrong thing, your life could literally be over. And now that sort of phase is dying out, and people are finally speaking up. And speaking up for what turns out to be the majority opinion in many regards. And I think the reason Asmongold is so popular, especially right now, is because his opinion on things is not right-wing or left-wing or anything like that. It's just common sense. It's the type of opinion that the average person would at least have a somewhat positive view of. They may not agree with everything he's saying, but they might at least find what he's saying to be reasonable and not something extreme like sympathizing with terrorists or something like that. If you asked 90% of the people what they thought about his average take, I think they wouldn't have much of a problem with it.
I mean, like, it's very obvious, right? Like, look at the Zelensky, Trump, in recent situation. He's talking about he supports Ukraine and talks about how weird this is. Like, the interview yesterday or 2 days ago was the most embarrassing thing in American history so far. It's actually insane. Like, you can see that he's not supportive of this kind of view. But then I look at his chat and there's very mixed opinion about it. People are saying L Zelensky, weird Zelensky. I've seen some weird things of people lying a lot. A lot of people are lying. Either they are they don't even know about the topic, or they're just lying. And I think they just probably don't know shit, actually. You know what? They're just talking out of their ass. But a lot of people have mixed opinions, but he's more of he's not on Trump's side all the time. Like, and I think that if he was completely right wing, he would be on his side all the time.
And he has proven that through his views, I mean, every video getting around 1 million+ views on pretty much every political topic, he's proven that a lot of these opinions are popular. And I think that has emboldened people not to grift off of that, but to think, oh, I can actually share my opinions on things, and this is actually popular right now, and I'm not going to get a brigade of people trying to cancel me and ruin my life for criticizing what they might consider the wrong thing. okay? And no content creator is ever perfect, okay? But again, in this sort of conversation between Asmongold and
I think, thank God that a content creator can just say what the fuck they want to say now. Like, I mean, like we're getting more to the face where people just fucking say what you want to say, as long as you don't piss off advertisers. I think that just generally, like, that's the way it should be, because everybody being so fake and being so silent because they're worried about all this bullshit is just tiresome. Like, it's just tiresome.
Hasan, who's going to relate more to the common person with their views? Like, I think we're talking about some pretty common viewpoints versus extreme ones. And I think it's pretty obvious which one of those labels applies to each person in this scenario. And like it or not in this particular situation, but the general population voted for this sort of stuff. And, you know, again, we're talking about the labels here, but let's hear a little more, because he's very upset about losing this top spot.
That's it. For a lot of people, it's not like a genuinely held perspective. For many of them, they just don't care. It comes from a place of like, I don't really give a shit. I don't really necessarily give a shit about politics, but I see that this is like getting clout. And the perfect example I can give you is when the most prominent voice of politics on the platform before this last round was myself.
He's mentioned it twice in 30 seconds. Have you seen that? Any clip
Bro's
you find
mad.
of the song right now is mentioning that he has fallen behind Asmongold in this race for the top position of political streamer on Twitch, which is a lone race because Asmongold doesn't even care for the label. But again, with this whole general population label he's giving, the general population is not agreeing with you right now on all these things. I think a lot more people are agreeing with the takes that Asmongold has because, again, they represent what most normal people think. They're not as extreme as a bunch of wackadoos on Twitter or Reddit will try to make you feel like they are. But proof of that really shows just in the coverage of the Trash Taste podcast situation. Look at the way people agree with this. The like-dislike ratio, 54,000 likes versus around 700 dislikes. That's roughly a 98% like-dislike ratio on a very controversial topic, directly talking about...
You know what I love the most about this is that Daily Dose clicked the dislike button. And I know this fucker. I know he would do that. I know. I fucking know, bro. This guy does not like... He does not like fucking... He does not like Hasan.
Relevant situation involving Hasan. I think, again, it shows he has a pretty agreeable opinion, even on
actually, maybe this might be Hero A. I don't know, one of them at least.
Controversial topics. And let's not forget, the clip in particular that fueled this entire conversation was this right here. This was a Worcester, Massachusetts City Council vote where a group of LGBT people wanted to make the city a sanctuary for transgender and gender diverse people. And this is what we were talking about. And then Hasan was upset about some comments that Amaranth, of all people, made about this. And first of all, if you're listening to anything Amaranth has to say about pretty much anything, you've already kind of lost. But anyways, they're basically trying to say, Hasan's trying to say that Asmongold and people like that have radicalized people to say all these crazy
I love that Amaranth does not even need to do anything to advertise herself. It's kind of crazy how good at she is. She was barely awake making that clip, and she just popped the fuck off and pissed a lot of people off. It's crazy.
Things referring to their criticisms of this clip. Now, of course, most people find this to be crazy. Let's watch what we're talking about here.
If you say that you're afraid of Trump and that's why you don't want the city to be a safe space for trans people, you better prepare for trans people to make this a very unsafe space.
Why would you say that? Why are you advocating for violence?
I'm shaking right now.
You are?
I don't want to be here.
Then go.
I'm sorry. Am I taking too long pleading for my life?
Okay.
You remembered how many children I have and that 2 of them are trans.
No.
I speak as both the B and the T in the LGBT.
I'm multiply disabled. I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a connective tissue disorder that causes me immense physical pain.
So, like, the problem is that I think this is like a first world problem kind of thing. Like, we have to have it too good, so we gotta talk about it that way. I think that if you don't talk about the direct problems of what changes are causing, and you're mentioning all of these personal issues, you're not really like, why should the people listening to you there care? Like, I'm not really sure what this is really about, but I'm just saying it in a way. You're like, are you at Congress, or I don't even know where you are? Like, what, this is like some place where they can plead a situation that are like needs change, I assume. And if you want to make something that is more appropriate for like trans, I think you should bring those issues up and why, and not like talk too much about yourself in that way, unless it has something connected to it. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, like, this just seems a little bit odd to me, and I hope I don't understand how you can not see it in a way that whenever people are making like a stage like this, it's not really coming with the point. It's not creating the point across the crowd. Like, you gotta make a point, or people are not gonna listen. And if people are not listening, you're not gonna get any change.
I'm on the autism spectrum, and I have narcolepsy, and I couldn't drive myself here, so I had to hide from my driver that I was in drag, which is not an easy thing to do in drag.
I do not want to be here.
Why? Like, I don't.
It's my day off.
Okay.
I do not want to be in your DMs.
Okay,
I do
don't
not
then.
want to be in your email inboxes.
Okay.
I do not want my creativity writing diss tracks like Kendrick.
Okay.
I don't want to spend an hour applying glitter
Oh, she's popping her ult.
on my face so that you
He's
will
popping
hear
her
and
ult.
see me.
They're popping her ult. I don't know.
You guys literally made her put that glitter on her face. But anyways, this is an example of the type of clip you show 90% of people in the world, and they'll be like, yeah, that's weird. This looks like a blue
I don't want you to be in my DMs either. Yeah, I don't answer my DMs. It's a waste of time.
sky meetup. Okay, these people are unhinged, and these are the type of people calling you a bigot and a freak on.
It's like you put Twitter and you put them, you sent them in real life into like a press conference or something like that. It's really weird. I like, again, like, what's your point? Like, why can they not bring the point in? What is this act? What is this? Like, I understand like there's personal frustration, but what is this show they're creating here? And I think that that's the problem. I think, you know, like, I don't know a single gay or bi guy, and as a bi guy myself, like, I would never associate myself with the LGBTQ at all. And I think these are the problems that most we seem so obnoxious. Meanwhile, this is just like, we just like this thing and that's it, and we're fine and that's it. We just want to just vibe. But like, it turns into this weird shift between like, we're not in any way the same, and we gotta be screaming and screeching about it. This just seemed really weird. All of this seemed weird to me, and I think it's just damaging the reputation, public view of it all. And I personally think it's dumb. Like, I don't like it at all. I think it's really weird.
Social media, right? But that's what we're talking about here, and this is Asmongold's coverage of that clip that is being referenced in this entire situation. And you can see how people viewed his opinion that is basically stating this is a clown show, right?
It is.
And I think people agree.
This is a show, that's for sure.
81,000 likes, 500 dislikes. That's a 99 plus like-dislike ratio on 2.5 million views, by the way. So this left the ether of the...
I mean, this is definitely, like, you can see that people have the perspective of this and they support the idea that he's showing, if that's the reception. Because, like, if you have 500 likes compared to 81,000 likes, 500 dislikes compared to 81,000 likes, I would assume with these amount of viewers, these are just like bots nearly. Like, I'm not calling them bots, but they're like NPCs just disliking the video for their own perspective. Like, I bet like 80% of the dislikes here are like people that are just disliking it to dislike it. Like, I bet that. And then there's maybe like 20% that actually watched the video and disagree and got mad.
The monolith of Asmongold's followers. Clearly, a lot of people agree that this is outlandish behavior. And I don't think this is some right-wing extremism. I don't think Asmongold is influencing anyone. I think he's speaking a commonly held belief about stuff like this. Okay? This is a clown show. You show this to a regular person, they probably agree.
Yeah,
And
you need to think about the regular Joe, the regular Sue. Like, that's who you're talking about. And if they see it, they will probably just be like, what the hell is going on?
That's really all there is
that's
to
the
say
problem.
about this, because we also see how deep this goes. He is directly blaming Asmongold for causing all this radicalization. The irony, by the way.
Why they're saying
This is, in many ways, no different than when Elon Musk hits the fucking Sig Heil, other people do it too, and it normalizes that kind of attitude. It normalizes that kind of politics. And it's precisely the same thing that's happening here, okay? Asmongold says a bunch of unhinged shit, and he's popping off. Other content creators see that, as I've told you before, and they respond to it. They see that, and they go, ooh, I can get in on this as well.
So what he's saying is content creators like Asmongold are normalizing unhinged behavior and normalizing very dangerous things people are saying.
Isn't that like touche, man? Like, I feel like, have you looked yourself in the mirror? Have you looked at the shit you're doing, bro? Like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Have you seen your crowd? Your crowd is known to set bounties on people and like harass people and support like racism, like literally support racism, and talk about like wanting to completely extinct a different type of country because of like the like political issues. Like there's a lot of things, like there's a lot of crazy shit, and terrorists like group support of like supportive and incentivizing terrorism and shit like that. It's like what the fuck are you talking? You're not even in a position like this to say anything like this.
Let me just remind us of where we started this video.
Just say the word, Hasan.
Estimated that
Yeah.
lost every year in Medicaid just in fraud alone. No.
If you cared about Medicare fraud or Medicaid fraud, you would kill Rick Scott.
Ooh.
That's how we started the video. Okay, we're not even getting into the terrorist sympathizing and the platforming of terrorists and the comments about 9/11 and all these crazy unhinged things that
Dude, you should have seen it. He invited a terrorist and he's like Luffy from One Piece. He's like a freedom. He's there to free us. He's helping us. He's like Luffy. That's fucking crazy.
really go on a list that's so
Fucking
long it's
invited
hard to keep
terrorists to
track of
stream.
what's going on.
Actual terrorists.
But yeah, this is the person angry at you for normalizing what? Looking at a very bizarre scene and saying, yeah, that's a bunch of weird people. I don't know. There's really nothing else to say on this situation. Two real pain points for Hasan that have struck his most valuable currency, which is his...
You know when people say that if you're good looking, you can get away with anything? Like, I think that in a way, like Hasan is a very attractive dude. I wonder if he looked, no. I think it's just the factor that honestly, like, I was going to make a joke, but fuck that. But I think the reason why he's not getting banned is just because the people at Twitch support this view. Like, I think that's the thing. I think that's why he can just keep popping off. And it's on Twitter, and Twitter allows any of you. I think they don't ban really much unless you talk shit too much about Elon Musk. And when it comes to Twitch, they kind of just like feel the same way, I think.
Ego, of course, and that's the Trash Taste podcast situation that has only gotten worse for him. And then, of course,
calling Elon the Nazi salute is a bit of a stretch. It is. I mean, I can see why people say it, but like, let's stop being disingenuous. Like, we know it's not a Nazi salute. It's not. And I mean, like, he will just keep going. It doesn't really matter because it fits his narrative. But like, I don't think that's going to do anything on Twitter anyways.
Dethroned as the top political streamer.
He just ordered
Twitch,
a bear, man.
Clearly two things that have hurt his ego.
He's just let his heart out.
But for now, that's going to do it for this video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.
Yeah, W video. I mean, like, this is kind of exhausting to think about, isn't it? Because like, it's like, I'm so stupid. Like, I feel like any normal human look at this and like, what the fuck is going on? This is so ridiculous. And I feel like you're taking crazy pills because like, it feels like, well, what are you listening to here? Like, what's going on here? Why are we even talking about this? This is the most common and obvious thing ever. Man, this W video. Like the video if you liked it. Tell me down below what you think about this situation. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And sub to the channel if you watch more reactive when you upload me live. Feel free to come by Twitch channel on twitch.tv/adley. I appreciate you watching. I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one, y'all. Peace.